On the day of our engagement gala, my fiancé abandoned me in front of everyone for a junior intern. Xavier didn't spare a thought for my dignity. All he left me with was, "Laura's relative just died. I have to be with her right now." Watching him hurry away, I stood dead center in the crowd, my face bloodless, while the guests whispered. Yet just as our parents scrambled to smooth things over, I suddenly spoke up. "This engagement is off. From this moment, Xavier and I go our separate ways, bridge to bridge, jealous." Later, when the news reached him, he called to scold me for being childish. "I only feel sorry for Laura. She just lost her family." "Celia, stop jumping to jealous conclusions. But we grew up side by side. If his heart had changed, I would know." "Xavier, the instant you chose Laura, we were finished." The moment those words left my mouth, I hung up without hesitation. The engagement hall was empty now, the floor littered with the shredded petals of the daisies I loved. Because I adored them. 2 weeks ago, Xavier had spared no expense to ship the freshest daisies from Kingstown just to decorate our gala. Back then, seeing me moved, he had gently pulled me close and promised, "Celia, as long as it's something you like, I'll pluck the stars for you. We're going to have the perfect engagement gala." Yet on the day I'd looked forward to with all my heart, he had just as easily shattered every dream for Laura. I don't know how long I sat on that stage before the doors burst open again. Xavier, who should have been comforting Laura, came sprinting back, panting. "Celia, what on earth are you throwing a tantrum about? I only wanted to postpone the gala. Why say such vicious things? All of Riverdale knows we grew up together. Who else would ever marry you if not me?" As he spoke, he reached for my hand in a show of tenderness. "Baby, you know I just feel for Laura, a small-town girl struggling in the big city alone. You were born into velvet. You can't understand her hardships. You've always had more, so stop picking on her." I stared at him as if seeing a stranger, yet in my mind flashed the day he confessed after high school graduation. He had been breathless then too, but his eyes were resolute. "Celia, for 18 years your parents raised you in splendor. From now on, let me build you a life of flowers and brocade." Now, the fact that I'd grown up in luxury had somehow become my crime. I let my nails bite into my palms to choke back the tears rising in my throat. In 23 years, Xavier had been there for 20. Even after my grand declaration of separate paths, the sting in my chest refused to be ignored. But porcelain cracks show, and I, Celia, never tolerate a single grain of sand. I shook off his hand and answered with measured ice. "My privileged life is the accumulation of generations of Vance effort, not a club for you to beat me with on Laura's behalf. And what makes you think no one else will marry me? Your ego isn't that big, Xavier." My rare sharpness darkened his face. "Celia, I'm warning you, stop being spoiled. Go back and explain to your parents that today never happened." I gave a cold laugh. Before I could retort, a soft voice drifted in from the doorway. "Vance, please don't misunderstand Xavier because of me. I didn't know you were getting engaged today, or I'd never have called him." Laura, dressed in mourning, wept delicate tears. The sight of this fragile beauty twisted Xavier's heart. "Laura, none of this is your fault. Once I sort this out, I'll go back with you to keep vigil." Perhaps the pain had numbed me because seeing them glued together stirred nothing. She claimed she hadn't known about our engagement, yet the Vance Sterling Gala had made national headlines. As a Sterling intern, how could she not know? Only a willing fool like Xavier would swallow such a clumsy lie. When she'd first joined the company, he'd complained constantly. She was useless, clumsy, a headache. One day, furious, he'd even said, if HR answered to me, I'd have her out on the curb. Gradually, the complaints stopped. I thought she'd improved. Really, he'd fallen for the bumbling small-town girl. "You've called him plenty, one more won't hurt," I said coolly. Truly petty origins. If you love grabbing leftovers, enjoy that cold rice. For the first time, Xavier snarled at me. "Watch your mouth, Celia." Seeing me freeze, Laura's eyes flickered with triumph. Yet her face stayed timid. "Xavier, don't blame Vance. It's my fault for upsetting her. Vance, hit me or curse me. Just don't take it out on Xavier." "Laura, this has nothing to do with you." He blocked her as she pretended to kneel. She's always had a princess complex. Ignore her. Then, exasperated, he turned to me. I'm sick of your superiority, Celia. When will you learn Laura's gentle kindness? We'll talk once you admit you're wrong. With that, he wrapped an arm around Laura's shoulders and headed for the exit. Just before they stepped out, I called his name. He stopped, sure of victory. Ready to apologize? The instant he spoke, I slid the ring from my finger, the engagement ring he had given me. Realizing what I meant to do, panic flashed across his face. Before he could move, I hurled the ring hard. Xavier, we're done. Clean cut. Then, I tore the skirt of the couture gown my best friend had designed. She had joked the hem was made to rip, so I could bolt if I ever wanted out. Prophetic, it seemed. Freed of the train, I walked away without a backward glance. By the time I got back to the Vance penthouse, my stomach was churning over how I'd explain everything to Mom and Dad, only to find them in the grand salon, inventorying a mountain of velvet boxes. Mom waved me over. Come take one last look, darling. Did Sterling miss any of the betrothal gifts when they shipped them over? If everything's here, your father and I will drive this whole tacky pile back to the Sterling Manor tomorrow. I stared at them, stunned. Aren't you going to ask about Xavier and me? Dad cut me off, patting my shoulder with the same gentle smile he'd given me since kindergarten. Sweetheart, you're the daughter we carried in our palms. You say you're not marrying him, then you're not. That boy simply wasn't born under a lucky star. Every ounce of humiliation I'd swallowed slammed through the floodgates. I sobbed until my ribs ached, and when the tears finally dried, the last thread of love and regret for Xavier snapped clean. A text from an unknown number buzzed in. The photo, Laura wilted like a fragile lily in Xavier's arms while they knelt before a funeral tablet. The caption, one phone call, and Xavier raced across half of Riverdale. They say a man's knees are worth their weight in gold, yet he's spending the night keeping vigil for my grandmother. With Grandma watching from above, Xavier and I will last forever. I recognized the gauntlet she'd thrown, but I couldn't muster the energy to pick it up. I answered with one icy word. Condolences. Laura probably ground her molars to dust. I thought that slapdown would be the end of it. An hour later she texted again, and this image punched a hole straight through my chest. They were still in the funeral hall, right in front of the dead woman's spirit tablet, lost in each other so completely they might have forgotten the world still spun. Attached was an audio clip. Laura, breathless. Xavier, after tonight, after you've had me, once you're married to Vance, you won't cast me aside, will you? I live for you. I die for you. If you discard me, I won't survive it. Xavier, panting. How could I ever leave you, Laura? My heart's already overflowing with you. Even if I marry Celia, I'll hide you beside me for the rest of our lives. So he still dreamed of the perfect cheat, respectable wife at home, tucked away mistress on call. A cold, violent rage flashed behind my eyes. He'd slapped my face in public. Now I'd gladly snap every finger on his hand. Morning hadn't broken when my phone shrieked. Laura's shrill voice spewed through the speaker the instant I answered. Celia, you psycho. How dare you leak those pictures I sent you? I held the phone at arm's length and opened Riverdale's trending list with the other hand. Sure enough, grainy shots of Xavier's mortuary sexcapade sat at number 1, my late-night handoff to my favorite paparazzo. Gift horse mouth, basic math. The comment section was torching him alive, and Sterling stock was already gulping for air. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Time Xavier got a faceful. Laura kept shrieking. Delete those photos right now, or I'll tell Xavier you're behind them. I snorted. Go ahead, inform him. Scare he'll ask how I got the shots? I'd love to show him every photo and voice note you mailed me. Once he realizes you set him up, do you really think he'll still cuddle his delicate wallflower? Predictably, Laura deflated. The ammunition she'd whipped up to taunt me had become a live grenade glued to her own fingers. I padded downstairs for breakfast. Dad, reading the financial pages, said Xavier had been hauled home by a livid Victor Sterling. Grandfather Theodore, sunning himself in Palm Beach, had supposedly phoned in a 30-minute transatlantic scolding. Though Victor runs Sterling's Riverdale arm, he still walks on eggshells lest Theodore pluck the crown and hand it to his late-life miracle, Adrian. And now golden boy Xavier had detonated a scandal big enough to crack the dynasty. When Mom, Dad, and I reached the Sterling Manor, Xavier was kneeling on the gravel driveway. At the sight of me, his cheeks flamed, but he lurched to his feet. Celia, don't believe the garbage online. I momentarily lost my mind. I pictured her as you. Everyone slips. We've known each other forever. You'll forgive me, right? I'll throw you a proposal 10 times grander, I swear. I knew the panic in his eyes was real. Even with someone else in his heart, he was addicted to my constant presence. Before I could announce why we'd come, Victor hurried out, arms wide. Richard, Celia, come in, come in. Whatever lay between Xavier and me, I hadn't forgotten the kindness Victor and Catherine had shown since childhood. No need to punish the parents for the son. Yet the moment we sat, Victor and Catherine traded a look with Xavier. He hesitated, then dropped to his knees again. Celia, help me. The paparazzi didn't catch Laura's face. For my reputation, could you claim the woman in the pictures was you? Reading the horror on my face, he rushed on. Say yes, and we'll file for a marriage license this afternoon. I'll cut Laura off completely. I know you love me. You'll save me, won't you? Victor chimed in, oozing paternal reason. Celia, boys will be boys. Every man stumbles when he's young. A real woman stands by her man. One day you'll host the Sterling boardroom. You'll need a bigger heart for that. My parents sat frozen, stunned that the courteous Sterlings could parrot such shameless nonsense. They opened their mouths to roar. A lazy drawl floated through the doorway. Still scripting fairy tales, I see. She's here to return the ring, not rescue the toad. Every Sterling in the room snapped to attention like trespassers caught in a searchlight. Adrian, who was supposed to be in Silicon Valley sealing a deal, strolled in, hands in pockets, eyes fixed on me as if the rest were waxworks. Adrian was Xavier's uncle, but he was only 3 years older. Because the gap was so small, the elders had compared them since boyhood. Xavier had come out second every single time, so he had always resented Adrian. When he heard Adrian say, "I'm here to break the engagement," Xavier sneered. Riley, Adrian, this isn't America. You don't get to throw a tantrum in front of my father. What happens between Celia and me is none of your business. All of Riverdale knows we're crazy about each other. She'd never dump me. I'm definitely breaking up with you. I cut Xavier off and clapped once. These are the betrothal gifts Sterling sent to my family. Every dollar is untouched, and now it's all returned. The marriage contract between our families ends today. When the bodyguards carried the betrothal gifts inside, Xavier stared, stunned. Ignoring the crowd, he instinctively tried to hug me the way he always had. Celia, how could you break our engagement? You love me. You'd never do this. This isn't real. Tomorrow I'll fire Laura. From now on I'll see only you, think only of you. I won't ever betray you again. Don't leave me. Before he could finish, Adrian grabbed him by the collar and flung him aside. If you want to talk, talk. Keep your hands to yourself. Did you swallow every lesson on manners? Xavier's eyes reddened with rage, but facing his uncle, he could only swallow the insult. He shot a pleading look at Victor, begging him to find a way to make me stay. Victor promptly produced an ancestral marriage contract he'd prepared long ago. Richard, don't forget, the union between Sterling and Vance was decreed by our fathers. Now that your father has passed, if Vance reneges, the partnership between our companies may not survive either. The contract in Victor's hand had no legal weight, yet it carried the full weight of 2 family names. Even my father hadn't expected Victor to dig it up just so I'd clean up Xavier's mess. Every word also carried a threat to the businesses we shared. Seeing my father hesitate, Xavier revived. He exhaled in relief. That's right. Celia and I are promised to each other. Vance can't cancel it. Celia's husband will always be me. Just when he thought the game was over, I laughed coldly and held up an identical contract. Sterling and Vance do have a marriage pact, but who says it's between you and me? What do you mean? Xavier's brows snapped together. Besides you and me, who else could it be? Adrian, silent until now, clapped a hand on Xavier's shoulder. Nephew, you still have your uncle. He stepped to my side. Our fathers simply decreed that the children of the two families marry. My father never specified whether that child was Xavier or me. And now Celia seems to have chosen me. Xavier looked as if lightning had struck him, then exploded. Celia, what are you saying? Adrian's my uncle. How could you two be involved? His outrage struck me as hilarious. Long before Adrian moved to Palm Beach with Theodore, he and I had known each other first. I was 3, a tiny thing trailing after 6-year-old Adrian. The two patriarchs joked that we should marry someday. Then Adrian relocated. He returned to Riverdale only for holidays, and we drifted. As we grew older, everyone simply assumed the pact pointed to Xavier. Learning the truth, Xavier clenched his fists, staring at me as though I were the betrayer. When did you two start seeing each other behind my back? Still daring to ask, I answered with slow precision. We have you to thank for that. A year ago, the week we graduated, Xavier had promised to pursue a master's abroad with me. At the boarding gate, he admitted he'd forgotten to apply for a visa. I flew to America alone. Once I was there, he kept postponing, claiming Sterling couldn't function without him. Used to Xavier smoothing every wrinkle, I stumbled repeatedly. A thief on a bike even snatched all my cash. Stranded, I met Adrian like a miracle. In the months that followed, he helped me stand on my own feet. Unlike Xavier, who wrapped me in cotton wool, Adrian noticed how I relied on him for everything and, lazy as he normally was, turned stern. Celia, no one can carry you forever, especially not a man. Stand up. Get strong. When you were 3, I let you toddle after me. At 22, you need to become the heir you were born to be. From that day, I rebuilt myself. That courage let me cut the 20-year tie to Xavier. Early on in America, I still waited for him to appear. Eventually, I grew used to his absence. Within that same year, Laura filled the blank in his heart. Adrian's sudden reappearance traced back to the night I resolved to break the engagement. I'd guessed Sterling would wield the elder's contract, so I asked Adrian to fly home. Listening, Xavier teetered between regret and jealousy. After I returned, he'd sensed I'd changed, but he'd been too wrapped up with Laura to care. Now he learned another man had reshaped me, and the certainty that I'd always be his shattered. Before I left the Sterling Manor, Xavier tried one last plea. Adrian blocked him with a thin smile. Nephew, keep your hands off your future aunt. Later, Adrian told me several priceless vases in Sterling's hall died under Xavier's fists. I saw Xavier again at Sterling headquarters. Since coming home, I'd been gradually taking over Vance affairs. My visit concerned a joint project. Laura was the one sent to receive me. In private, she lost the panic I'd heard on the phone and smirked. Celia, I heard Xavier's done with you. Desperate to marry into Sterling, aren't you? Even chasing his uncle, who's almost your father's age. Still, once I walk through the Sterling gates, I'll have to call you Auntie someday. Watching Laura start daydreaming before sunset, I kept my smile, but tipped the coffee straight over her head. No one gets to provoke me twice, let alone 3 times. Ah. Laura's shriek brought half the office running, Xavier among them. He'd hurried over the moment he heard I was in the building. The instant she saw him, Laura's tears fell like a faucet. Vance, what did I ever do to you? Xavier, do I have to quit before she'll leave me alone? Xavier's gaze was tangled. After a long pause, he managed, Celia, if you're angry, take it out on me. Don't take it out on Laura. Besides, this is Sterling headquarters. Humiliating her is humiliating me. Before he could finish, Adrian cut through the crowd. Well, the boys discovered solidarity. But since when does Sterling answer to you? He flicked a finger at Laura, dripping coffee. You're fired as of now. Who do you think you are? Laura clutched Xavier's arm, staring at Adrian like he was a stranger. Xavier, who is this guy? Xavier shoved her off, eyes anxious on me. Celia, you. Who am I? Adrian cut him off, bored. I'm the uncle you just mentioned, and the man currently running Sterling's domestic operations. Laura went white. Xavier swore under his breath. Riley. Reading disbelief on Xavier's face, Adrian slapped the transfer order from Sterling's U.S. headquarters onto the nearest desk. The directive bore Theodore's signature. The change was fallout from Xavier's recent tabloid circus. Realizing she'd insulted Xavier's uncle, Laura panicked. To keep her job, she melted into fragile little flower mode, turning to Xavier with wet eyes. Xavier, don't let them throw me out. I don't want to leave the company. But Xavier, desperate to prove something to me, never even looked at her. Celia, I've kept my distance from Laura these past weeks, I swear. If you don't want her here, I'll make her leave. Just please don't leave me. Hearing Xavier ready to abandon her for me, Laura's sanity snapped. She thrashed in security's grip, screaming, Xavier, you said you loved me. You slept with me. Now you're pretending nothing happened? You can't do this. That howl confirmed every online rumor about Xavier, and exposed her as well. No one had guessed the intern had already climbed into the heir's bed. Pity for her evaporated. Scorn replaced it. Someone whipped out a phone. The meltdown hit Twitter within minutes. The internet exploded. Has Xavier lost his mind? Dumped his lifelong heiress for some small-town intern? Bet he's chewing his own liver now. Regret won't help. Celia's about to become his aunt. Riverdale royalty is wild. Never saw that twist coming. As hashtag soared, Victor tried to redirect the fire. He paid legions of paid trolls to dump every insult on Laura. She showed up at the Sterling Manor, but couldn't get past the gate. Determined to see Xavier, she knelt outside the iron bars all day. Xavier, come out. You promised you'd protect me. They're shredding me online. I don't know what else to do. No matter how pitifully she wept, the Xavier who once spoiled her never appeared. Her parents finally dragged her away, cursing her stupidity. Disgraced and jobless, she was hustled back to her hometown and paraded before a local bachelor. But a girl who'd tasted champagne rose glitter wasn't going to settle for beer and porch swings. Fate seemed to toss her one last rope. 2 days before the wedding, she discovered she was pregnant. Her parents were over the moon. A sterling heir as a son-in-law was worth gold. Under Laura's coaching, her father returned the betrothal gifts. They waited until the bump showed, then stormed Sterling to demand legitimacy, only to bump into me at the front doors. Spotting me, Laura bristled instinctively. Celia, what are you doing here? I eyed her rounded belly and arched a brow. The whole of Riverdale knows Adrian, and I will announce our engagement any day. I'm at my fiancé's house. Why is that strange? The real question is whether your baby belongs to Xavier. Before she could answer, Xavier barreled out. After months apart, Laura lunged at him. He scrambled to untangle himself. Laura, let go. We're finished. Stop haunting me. She stared, disbelief flooding her face, fingers shaking at her stomach. Xavier, I'm carrying your child. How can we be finished? You can throw me away, but not your own baby. Only then did Xavier notice the 4-month curve. Memories of that reckless night in the funeral hall drained the color from his face. For months he'd begged for my forgiveness, even sparring with Adrian to win our engagement back. A love child would turn that dream to ash. Victor and Catherine were equally paralyzed. Sterling blood couldn't wander the world unclaimed, yet marriage to Laura was unthinkable. Victor ordered an amniocentesis to settle the paternity. If the fetus was Xavier's, Laura would receive a fortune after delivery. Blinded by dollar signs, she signed the forms eagerly. No one expected the result. The baby in her womb wasn't Xavier's at all. Xavier had never wanted the headache of a child, but the idea that Laura might be cuckolding him was unbearable. Only after he hired investigators did he learn that, while she'd been flirting with him, she'd also been carrying on with one of Sterling's suppliers. Not until she had lured him into bed did she finally cut ties with the man. So when she missed her period, Laura did some quick calendar math and convinced herself the baby had to be Xavier's. She never dreamed fate would play such a brutal joke. If Xavier had still felt a shred of guilt toward Laura before, it evaporated the moment the full story came out. For her, he had lost me, lost his reputation, and most staggering, lost his birthright. In return, she had treated him like a dog on a leash. Rage detonated inside him. He roared and slapped her so hard she staggered. Off balance, Laura crashed to the floor. Ah, it hurts, my stomach. Help me. Xavier, it hurts. She curled around her belly. Blood began to seep through her thighs. Even though I called 911 at once, the child couldn't be saved. Xavier didn't waste a single sigh. That's exactly what you deserve, he muttered and walked away while she sobbed after him. These days Xavier was busy. Busy trying to sabotage my engagement to Adrian, busy scheming to snatch back the Sterling throne. Laura kept showing up. Each time his bodyguards threw her out more roughly than the last. To shut her up for good, Xavier leaked every scrap of evidence he'd gathered about her affairs. The internet did the rest. Paid trolls and scandal-hungry posters made her name mud. When no man would marry her, her parents, who'd been counting on betrothal gifts, locked the door in her face and left her broken body to the streets. I thought that was the end of it, that her life and mine had snapped apart forever. Yet half a month later, the afternoon I stepped out of the atelier in my couture gown, a text from Laura landed. Celia, you really think Adrian's marrying you because he loves you? Idiot. Want the truth? Parking garage under the boutique. I almost didn't recognize the gaunt, grimy woman waiting beside the concrete pillar. When she saw the silk train still clinging to my hips, jealousy and resentment blazed in her eyes. Celia, you were born lucky, the Vance princess. Every good thing poured over you from day one. You already own the world, so why couldn't you leave Xavier to me? Why did he still choose you? I was in no mood for her self-pity. Spit it out. What secret does Adrian have? Laura burst into wild laughter. Oh, Celia, you really are stupid. That was just bait to get you down here. Seems you don't trust Adrian much either. Tell me, which Sterling man do you actually love? My eyes narrowed. Whoever will walk through fire for me, that's the one I love. The words snapped something inside her. Her face twisted as she yanked a switchblade from her pocket. Why do you get choices? What gives you the right to choose? If I can't have what I want, neither can you. Screaming, she lunged and drove the blade toward me. Out of nowhere, Xavier flung himself between us. Steel slid into his flesh. Blood pouring down his side, he seized Laura's wrist so she couldn't strike again. Celia, I'd give everything for you, please forgive me. Even as his life bled out, he begged for my absolution. Laura shrieked at him for an answer. None came. With feral hatred, she tore free and swung the knife again, this time low. Xavier's hull echoed off the concrete as he crumpled, unconscious from the agony. Laura turned on me, blade raised. No one's left to stand in my way now. Before the sentence finished, Adrian appeared behind her and planted a kick in her spine. She slammed into a parked car and lay stunned while a squad of officers swarmed in. Realizing she had reached a dead end, she offered no resistance as they cuffed her. Her life was already wreckage. Attempted murder earned her 12 years. When Victor and Catherine learned their son had been unmanned and permanently sidelined from the succession, they fainted from sheer rage. After they came to, their health slid downhill so fast that Theodore packed the whole branch off to a Swiss sanatorium, effectively writing them out of the family ledger. The night before my engagement to Adrian, I laid every hidden card on the table. I had been the one who released Xavier's bedroom photos. I had forwarded Laura's text to Xavier the instant I received it, letting him overhear every syllable of our confrontation, gambling, correctly, that he would take the blade meant for me. I'm no saint. The moment Xavier abandoned me at our engagement gala, I vowed he would pay. Adrian, this is who I really am. Nothing gentle about it. Are you still willing to marry me? He brushed a stray lock from my forehead. The scandal about Xavier? I fed the flames. I was already in that garage before Laura lifted her knife. I knew every move you planned, and I backed each one. He pressed my palm to his heart, smiling. Celia, you've always been exactly who you are in my eyes. He looked the way he had years ago in America when he stepped into my world without warning, seeing my darkness and promising me spring. This time I walked into his arms without reservation. Adrian, I can't wait for tomorrow's engagement gala. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed the video, please like and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales.
See you next time.